Hi there, my name is Cassie Dispenza, and I am here today to present to you technology and events, planning for the best and preparing for the worst. I know there's been a lot of changes for all of us this year, and so I'm hoping I can show you some information that will help you plan for your events regardless of what form they may take. I am going to share with you a little bit about myself now. I love to travel when there's not a pandemic. It's a little bit harder right now, but that's a big part of my life typically. This is my husband, Adam. He is a software engineer, so he knows more about technology than I do. I probably need to invite him as a guest presenter at some point. And then this is my dog, Layla. She's a 3-year-old Border Collie Australian Shepherd mix. Luckily, she's at doggy daycare today, so we don't need to worry about her interrupting us. I usually show her picture in these presentations so that, if we hear some noise in the background, we know what was causing it. But today, that's not a concern. So that's a little bit about me. If you're not familiar with Saffire, we build interactive website platforms that you can manage yourself along with included Saffire ticketing. These are just a couple of the different websites we do. We do mostly events, venues, and destinations. Anything that has a really great event calendar or needs, business listings, trip planners, that sort of thing, that's what we include. Our ticketing allows you to sell tickets online that people can print out or store on their phone, and then you can scan those at the gate. We also have a system called BlastPass that allows you to sell credits, sort of like, money that people can bring around to your event. So there's a little less contact, and it uses RFID technology to remove funds from wristbands and cards. So that's a little bit about what we do, just in a nutshell. Now on to the presentation. Whenever I give a presentation, I like to put it in different sections so you know how far along we are in the presentation here as we go. So this is kind of what we're going to talk about today. Here are kind of the event trends I feel like we're all following right now. There's either, events that are socially distanced and they're far and stay away. You don't want any contact with anybody. Maybe those are your virtual events or, the far things you're going to do. So how you can kind of fit events into that category we'll talk about. And then there's kind of a section that I put medium feeling normal-ish. That's kind of, your events maybe you're going to and doing a little bit on site, but not really still coming in close contact with people. And then there's a third level of events we'll talk about for when we can have events that are close together again and what that might look like. I hate the term new normal, but that kind of is, where that might fall, what it's going to look like when we can have an event again in some ways to keep everyone safe and feeling confident to come to your event. So that is my 3 sections of this presentation that we are going to cover. So first of all, the social distancing far away options. I've heard a lot from people in this time that it's hard to figure out how to get people to pay attention to your events or to want to participate in what you're doing. And I give a whole presentation about branding. And to me, your brand and your essence and your, what I call your why, is how you get people to participate in your virtual offerings, whatever those might look like. So why do people come to your events and interact with you during normal times? Do you provide services to the community? Do they find, nostalgia in your events? And then what will make your brand a priority when there's so many other things to focus on? What can keep them still feeling like your event is something that is important to them? And if you don't, have that figured out in the normal time of life, maybe now is the time to take a step back and figure that out before, you go trying to put on something virtual. Because it is harder, I think, to draw in that audience and to get people interacting with you when your event is a virtual event. There's so many things at home and in life. When someone comes onto your grounds or onto your site, wherever you're located, they're kind of with you, right? So you have so many more opportunities to grab their attention. So figuring out why people would want to focus on you, I think, is a really key step if you're planning something virtual or online. What someone likes about your brand, that could be included too. They our favorite thing is people love our pie. Okay, well, figure out a way to ship pie, or, you know, whatever the case might be. Or make that digital. You know, if they love music, that's an easy one. Or, you know, the things that really make your brand what it is important to kind of take into consideration. We've had a lot of our clients put on virtual events. One of, I would say, the most successful was someone who did it right at the beginning of when things started shutting down, and that's a fair we work with in Florida, the Clay County Fair. They were one of the first events to have to cancel their event, and so there was no blueprint. You know, I feel like now you can find a lot of resources for what people have done for virtual events and how people have made it work. But Clay County Fair really didn't have anything to go off of. So what their ideas, I think, are really fresh and interesting because they were literally thinking of them as they went along. So if you go on Facebook and scroll back, you know, to like April, this looks like it was like April 9th or so was around the time they were doing it. It was whenever their fair dates were scheduled for 2020. You can see a lot of their different ideas. And the reminders they set up, which I think were awesome. And the live videos, you know, they're not obviously live anymore, but you can go back and watch them and see the different performers they had and the different people that were involved in their event. I think that's a really good starting point if you're trying to come up with something to do for your event to take it virtual. They did a really great job of presenting their why, you know, on my last slide. They made it so that the community understood what was important about the fair and what people loved about the fair and what keeps people coming back year after year. So now we've kind of covered the general basics of a virtual event. I'm going to cover a couple of different topics within the social distancing far away options. And the first is social media. You know, of course, it's pretty obvious that one of the biggest tools that you can use to promote a virtual event is through your social media accounts. But here's some more, you know, specific ideas on those tools and what you can do. We worked with the Rose Festival in Portland, Oregon, and they did this really awesome bingo card on their stories, or they encourage people to take a screenshot of a bingo card and then, you know, using their pencil on their Instagram or Facebook stories to cross out things they have done and see if they can get a bingo. And then when people filled it out, they reposted those completed bingo cards on their own story. So, you know, it's just some kind of back and forth interaction between them and their constituents. Same with what you see here on the National Cherry Festival page. They used a Facebook frame to draw attention during their virtual, or I think it was during when their actual event dates were supposed to be. They didn't do a full virtual event, but just kind of a fun way to get people's eyeballs and get people, you know, paying attention to your page. And then, of course, if anyone uses that frame, they're promoting your brand for you, right? If you want to create your own frame, you can go to facebook.com/frames, and then there's some different rules, you know, that you have to follow if you're using frames for your transparent background, having original artwork, you know, certain sizes and stuff. But this will literally walk you through the steps of what you need to do to be able to create your own Facebook frame. There's also lots of Google and Facebook help articles for this exact topic. So if that's something you're wanting to take on, I'm sure you can find a lot of good help there on the internet. Social contests are also, you know, something that often come with these virtual events. Making it relatable to your brand. Here's, you know, more examples from the National Cherry Festival. We have some really good clients, so I tend to present their ideas. Go-Go Squeeze, if you have kids, you know, you might be familiar, kind of the applesaucey pouches probably is the key word that they gave away. And all you had to do to be entered in the drawing was like the post and comment on your favorite kids activity. So they kind of were, you know, promoting a cherry flavored product from a partner that provided the supply for the prize. It was something worth winning. I'm sure parents out there spend a lot of money on these pouches and, you know, would be happy to win it. They tied in a sponsor, you know, as part of that whole offering. And so it really became, you know, a way to bring all of these different pieces together to have this social contest. One thing people ask me a lot is if we have a contest like this, how do we pick a winner? This wheelofnames.com is one of my favorite tools. You can copy and paste in a whole list of people who have entered a contest, and then it will do a spinning action. It's actually pretty cool too. Once you tap and spin it. You know, if you record your screen, it shoots off confetti and fireworks and shows the person's name who won in big, bold letters. So you could do that as a live event if you wanted to share your screen or, you know, share a video of the screen as it's happening. There's lots of different ways then to get people involved, you know, in the actual drawing of the contest too, and get people's eyeballs glued to your screen. The human element of virtual events, I think, is also important. You know, one of the reasons people come to events is to be able to interact with others and feel like they're connected to their community. And so I think on social media, you have to be careful not to become too cold or feeling too distant. So there's lots of examples of this, but one of my favorite ones is actually from the National Cowboy Museum. And if you're on Instagram, if you go and just search National Cowboy Museum, you'll find this account. And this happened like towards the beginning of quarantine, but essentially the National Cowboy Museum, when they were shut down and closed, had this guy, Tim, who's in this photo you see here, take over their Instagram account. So Tim was the one doing all the posting and, you know, sharing all the content. And they made it funny because they made it like, you know, Tim was maybe a little bit not quite sure how to post on social media, but hey, guess what? The building was closed, and so no one else was around. So Tim had to be the one, you know, to take on the social media posting. And so the post became pretty funny. You know, you might see, I think there's one in this text. I know it's really small and tiny here, but it says like, you know, hashtag Tim the Cowboy, and he spells out the word hashtag because he doesn't know it should be a hashtag symbol, you know? So it's just pretty funny. They make him make little jokes and like, well, sure is quiet around here. Guess I'm going to go do a round. Well, I'm back. There was nothing out there, you know, just funny things like that. And their Instagram following went through the roof. You know, they had, I don't even remember exactly how many they said. I think they got like almost double Instagram followers from when they started this to by the time I checked this last. They even sell t-shirts, as you can see, to say it was hashtag the cowboy, because it was Tim the Cowboy who was planning all these posts and stuff like that. So, you know, just fun things like that can really make people put their eyeballs on your accounts and see what you're doing as you're planning your virtual events. There's the National Cowboy Museum Instagram, Twitter handles you can follow. Live videos can also be really great way, of course, to get people involved. This example is from one of our clients, the Heart of Texas Fair and Rodeo. I have a few examples in here from them. They're in Waco, Texas. They've done these cool fair food videos all summer where the guy here you see in this photo is the director of their facility and their fair, and then, you know, one of their other ladies on their team. But both of those people in that video are really recognizable to the constituents of the Heart of Texas Fair and Rodeo. They get together, you know, in someone's kitchen, make whatever fair food it is, and then not talk about how much they've missed it, or, you know, the vendor that maybe sold that food when the fair is actually going on. And they've had a lot of success with these videos of people tuning in, commenting, sharing. You know, that's something you can include as maybe part of your virtual event, or you can just do separately, you know, if you're just trying to get some interaction and keeping your brand front of mind for your constituents. Also, people miss out on these foods and recipes. So I think, you know, people are enjoying watching these videos because they're able to go and make these food items then themselves and feel like, you know, they're part of your event, even if they can't be there in person. We talked about stories a little tiny bit, but something just to not forget. Don't forget to use your stories on Instagram and Facebook as you're posting these different items. I think story content feels in the moment. You know, it feels like something that's going to happen, and if you don't watch it, it's going to go away. The same way an event does, right? If I don't tune in and watch that event while it's actually going on, I'm going to miss it. So stories kind of work the same way. If you're having a virtual event and people see content up there in the stories, I think it's really compelling for people to click on it. And as you know, if you've been in social media at all, stories have so many different compelling and creative ways to make your content stand out, from emojis, to moving photos, to cool filters, right? To being able to do live content that shows up in your story. And, like on Instagram, when you do a live, it shows up right there at the beginning of people's story list as they're clicking on. And so I think you'll see increased interactivity from that. Going live is not always the most comfortable thing. I understand that. But if you're doing virtual events, I think it can be a key part to making people feel like something is live and something's happening and it's real and it's big, all those different things. So making it enticing and getting people to click, really big part, I think, of your virtual events is to have some good story content. So next, this might be something that you have seen a little bit of press on, a tool that is new. And I would say if you're feeling like you have some extra time to learn something new for your organization, you might want to check out Instagram Reels. So do you guys remember when, like way back in our social media and tool minds, Snapchat came out, right? And it was this cool content called stories. And anyone could go on Snapchat and post stories. And then like a little bit longer after that, Instagram came out and like, guess what? We have stories now too. And it was this cool new way to post content. Well, Instagram has come out with Reels because it's the same content format as TikTok. So of course, Instagram/Facebook has seen how much success TikTok has had with their format. And so they came out with Reels to be a direct competitor for that audience. So you can do a little Googling on this topic if you want, but essentially when you go on to your Instagram now and you swipe over, like you would go to create a new story, you'll see an option to create a reel. And then you can go in the search, if you're just on your Instagram page, like down here at the bottom where the search usually is, you can click that search and you'll be able to see some content that will say Reels on the photo. Once you click on one of those, the content populates the same way it populates on TikTok. I know, it's kind of crazy. So I don't know, if you ever use TikTok, all you people out there, but to me, one of the most addicting parts of using TikTok, and I can do it for like hours, which is really bad. I have to like watch myself, but literally you take your phone and as you're watching a video on TikTok, you swipe up like this on the bottom of your screen to get to the next video. And it's, if you're not liking something, you just go on to the next one, the next one, the next one. And you find yourself just in this loop of watching so many videos. And so that's exactly how the Instagram Reels works. You can just watch video after video after video. And one thing I will say about this type of content, which is the same thing I said about Instagram stories when it came out, there will never be less Reels content than there is right now. As people are still learning it and discovering it and figuring it out, there's not as many people using it yet. And so because of that, your content is more likely to be seen and featured and shown to more people who follow you and people who don't follow you. So maybe practice it on your personal account and then post something for your festival or your event. Just see how it goes, just one little thing and see if you get any traction or people watching it, that sort of thing. It's the best opportunity to take advantage of it is when it first comes out. So kind of a fun new tool. Planning a virtual event, especially, that could be something you could, kind of layer in there with your marketing strategies. Additionally, something I would say that we've all probably used, but maybe aren't using as much right at this moment, is social media ads. It's sometimes hard to dedicate budget to promoting something that you maybe don't feel like isn't going to make as much money for you as your, in-person event would be. But I have some ideas to create some budgets for virtual events too. We'll talk about those here coming up. But I would encourage you to still go ahead and place an ad, even if you're just doing a virtual event. Most brands are seeing a 12 to 20% reduction in cost per click on Facebook and Instagram ads right now because people are not posting as many ads. And so social media ad placement, as you may know, is all about how much it's going to cost to place an ad because of your competition in the space of the people that you are trying to get those ads in front of. So if less people post ads, the cost of the ads goes down. Additionally, since people are, at home a lot of people are using social media, and therefore there's a lot of people looking at the platforms. So take advantage of that. More people looking, less cost. Make sure to post an ad about the events you're doing. Don't forget about all those things for ads. setting a goal. What are you trying to get out of your ads? Is it just likes to your page? Maybe that's a good goal for you this year. You know, like, hey, we're going to build our audience so that next year when our event comes around, we'll have a lot more people to market to. Or is it, you know, clicks through to your website to purchase some of those items and things I'm going to talk about here in a second that you can still use to earn revenue this year. You know, think about what you're trying to do with those ads. If you can set an ad to something you're selling, you'll have the best story to tell, right? So that's your, I spent $50 on an ad and I sold X number of tickets to my virtual event. Doesn't have to be tickets to an event, you know, there are lots of options there, but whatever it is, you can always show your ad budget versus your revenue, and that's what gets you the most success, I think, in your ads when you're talking about, you know, sharing those success with your board or your volunteers or whatever groups, you know, you present that type of information to. Make sure you know what not to post. This is funny to me. These are ads I've actually seen within the last, I'd say month or so from Southern Living, where Southern Living is posting about casserole recipes that are perfect for any gathering. Ooh, not the right timing. You know, as events, we oftentimes are thinking along those mindsets, right? Of like, oh, I'm talking about posting to a group or hanging out with all your friends, and it's like, oh, that's maybe not the message we want to be sharing right at this moment. So thinking about, you know, your language and the posts that you use and making sure it's appropriate for the times is really important, or you will see feedback from the general public like Southern Living is seeing here, where they say perfect for any gathering is the wrong description right now. And you know, there's just tons of comments on these ads that are not the right thing to say. So always keeping your language and, you know, the pulse of what's going on in mind. So social distancing still far away. Let's talk a little bit about your website and some of the things that maybe the tools on your website that you can use to put on virtual events and to share things about what you're still doing even during the pandemic. So with your website, one of the things I think that's easiest to do is to update your look a little bit just to reflect what you're trying to do with your virtual event. So this is one of our clients, the New Mexico State Fair, and their color scheme is typically about what you see on the page. Their New Mexico State Fair logo is the same, except they added a little "goes virtual," you know, here to the bottom. And I love this "home is where the fair is," cute little tagline. You know, they didn't throw out their entire branding scheme to put this out there, but they did make it look different. And honestly, like, something different is usually what catches eyeballs, right? If you're posting ads and you're posting about your event coming up and you're just using your same old graphics and same old logo and everything is just looks the same, people might just kind of meh, you know, gloss right over it. If you call attention to the fact that you're having a virtual fair, and by, you know, updating things on your website, adding a tab here, you know, for your virtual fair, use your home base as really your strongest advertising platform for whatever it is that you decide to put out there. Virtual competitions. This is a thing I've seen on a ton of different event websites. You know, whatever you guys do that's, you know, sometimes our festivals are a little bit different than our fair clients. Obviously, this New Mexico State Fair, they have things like competitive events where people can enter things, you know, like you see here, cake decorating, cookie decorating, etc. Most festivals don't have that, but we do have festivals that have contests of different kinds. Like I know the Cherry Festival I showed you earlier has a cherry pit spitting contest. Make sure I get those words in the right order. So, you know, whatever you can do like that to have competitions and get people entered and involved can be really cool. And that's easy to host on your website with forms, you know, just online forms people can enter in videos or pictures or whatever. Here's an example, one of those forms, you know, that's something that's easy and it gets people to your site. I think that's key, you know, getting them to stop what they're doing and go on your website, and then they see this branding, they see the logo, they see the other things you're working on, just grabbing their attention, you know, with these type of competitions and make them feel involved. Prizes can be really easy right now too. I love this one for New Mexico State Fair because they did some of these competitions, and then the prizes, a lot of them were just like tickets to next year's events, which, you know, again, you're starting to build that audience to come for next year. I love the New Mexico State Fair swag bag. A lot of our clients have 2020 merch that they ordered for this year that they may not be able to get rid of anyways. So that just is a way, you know, to maybe pass off some of that stuff, and people want it. So that's cool. It's like, hey, you got a swag bag. It all says 2020 fair, but this was the 2020 fair, you know, it just was virtual. So some different cool things you can do with your prizes to not make it overwhelming on your budget when your budget's probably smaller this year. And while we're talking about that merch, I wanted to mention, I think this is kind of cool. This is I think this is not one of our clients. This is just someone that we know and are familiar with through our work with the Fairs Association that we're involved with. And they did a shippable fair in a box item where people could buy on their website a box of stuff from the 2020 fair. So it was a t-shirt with the 2020 design, the pins that they typically have, you know, bandanas, things that they sell in their little typical merch tent. Plus they included a few things from, you know, maybe their vendors that their vendors might have given away or sold. And then they sold this box for like a pay one price option online. Then they also, I thought was cool, put all of their sponsor logos on the inside of the box. You can see there's a little picture right there that sort of shows their sponsor logos. So, man, I would say we're all looking for ways to continue to highlight sponsors, you know, during these times when you don't maybe have a big event to showcase their logos, etc. This also plays to that box trend, like I said, like Birchbox, Cosbox, you know, the different things you can buy online where you get a cool box of stuff in the mail from one of your favorite vendors. And so it was just kind of a fun way to use up things you may have already bought with this year's date on them and get some money back and highlight, you know, some other vendors and stuff too. Plus it's fun for your customers and event goers to receive something in the mail and maintain your brand loyalty. This is just another example of someone else's box of stuff that they sent from Wisconsin State Fair. They actually sent their box with all stuff from the state of Wisconsin that could be shipped. So I'm not 100% sure what all was included there, but you know, things like if you have honey in your region, or if you know, are famous for jerky or whatever exports kind of come from your region, that's what Wisconsin State Fair did. And then they had a title sponsor for this particular idea. You can see here, Quick Trip. And that was a way to really highlight that particular sponsor and make their name stand out. If you have a bigger sponsor you need to do, that can be really great too. And then they also, you'll notice here in their text, if they delivered them nationwide because they made it, it's kind of like Clay County Fair where it wasn't really perishable items. But if you were in the area, you could pick up your box and also get some like food items and things like that. So, you know, there's some different things you can do. I think having it be able to be delivered nationwide is really cool. You know, there might be people who have come to your event in the past or care about your event who want it shipped further away, and that just obviously opens up your audience quite a bit. But having something too for the local people can be nice to be able to charge more in certain instances. They clearly list the contents of their package and the cost. You know, they did all these things right here were $68. So it was pretty reasonable. And it also supported so many of their typical fair vendors. You know, so you have the sausage and what they have, cherries and candy apple kits. You know, those are all products that are purchased from individual vendors who would typically probably make a lot of money at the fair. So they're building their brand loyalty with their vendor group as well, and keeping those things really in-house to be able to make the most possible for all parties. When you're talking also about vendors, there's so many other things you can do to support that particular group of people. I think having just on your website a vendor shopping experience can be really great. You know, just a page where you list out all of your different vendors. Hey, ask them to send you a photo, to send you a link to their website. How do you buy their products online, or can they call you, or, you know, that sort of thing. Like my parents, y'all, they buy things at the fair that when they go, they live in the Dallas area, so that's the State Fair of Texas for them. And their vendor situation at the State Fair of Texas is pretty much unlike anything you've ever seen. It's like 4 giant commercial exhibitor buildings. And, you know, my dad would be like, well, we have to wait till the fair comes around because that's where I go to get all my mattresses. crazy stuff. I'm not even joking. Literally, y'all, last year, or maybe it was 2 years ago, they bought a shower. they bought one of those like shower installation packages from the state fair. Anyways, you never know what products people are waiting on to say, when the fair comes around, I'm for sure going to buy X. And then if the fair's not coming, the person's like, well, I guess now I just have to go, you know, to Mattress Firm or whatever and get my mattress. Nothing wrong with Mattress Firm, love them, but you know, sometimes people are waiting to see Mattress Firm at the fair. So by having, you know, some sort of page like this that advertises those things, and then putting those, you know, posting this on Facebook, sending this via email, you know, once you have your page set up, that can help support your vendors and give your customers a way to get the items they might be looking for anyways that they typically buy at the fair. Here's another example of just the National Cherry Festival posting about like where to find local cherry products, and they posted it on their website. Just an example of a post you could do once you have your page set up. Okay, so our virtual events that are far away for other tools besides just website and social media. One thing I've seen a lot of our clients use this summer is Google Forms. So Google Forms are free if you've never done one, or if you know your website, you don't have the ability to set up forms like those forms I showed you for New Mexico State Fair. Setting up a Google form can be a really great way to collect customer information. This was a cool one that I found for an event that did a virtual sponsor scavenger hunt. So you had to go to each of about 10 or 12 sponsor websites, find a fact about them. You know, they asked a question just like, you know, how many loads of lumber does so-and-so produce, you know, or things like that for their sponsors. Then the Google form just existed to fill in the answers, and someone could press submit at the bottom and then send off that form back, you know, to the event to be able to pick a winner for this scavenger hunt. So one of the cool things about doing something like that is that you also are collecting email addresses, right? So that's building, again, that future audience for you to market to. Then on top of that, you're highlighting your sponsors, you're making people go to their websites. So they're gonna see some increased traffic from you, which is ultimately what sponsors are going for. So kind of a fun way to continue to remember that tool we can use. Another question I'm getting asked a lot right now is, what virtual video platform should I use if I'm gonna do, you know, some virtual event stuff where I'm gonna do either live video or pre-recorded video? Vimeo, I think, is a really great tool. It starts at $7 a month, and it can be connected to your website. So several of our clients, you know, did pre-recorded videos or live videos through Vimeo, and we set up a feed from Vimeo to be recorded onto our website. And so that is just I know that one has a good connection for that sort of thing. So we've had really good success with Vimeo. StreamYard is just another platform we've had a lot of people use. Some of my friends with IFEA, the International Festivals Group I'm a part of, have used StreamYard with a lot of success. I can send examples, you know, if you want, but you can really make awesome live streams that not only record, you know, or send to the StreamYard platform, but at the same time simultaneously can be broadcasted, you know, on Facebook, on YouTube, on Twitch, those sorts of things. And then you can do cool stuff with, like, you know, your branding, your colors, your logos, you know, your headlines as text on the screen, etc. So that's a cool tool as well if you've never used StreamYard. And then one of my favorites, Eventeny, they're also an IFEA member, so they're very involved in the festival space. They've helped tons of events this summer create virtual events through their platform. They have live streaming options built in. So if you have Eventeny, they can help you set up a live stream to run straight through their platform that then can also be broadcasted to those other tools. But then what they also have, of course, is ways to create like virtual vendor places or trade shows or, you know, things like that. So they can really help you bring all those things together. Sometimes it's a little bit overwhelming to think of, like, if I want to put on a virtual event, what are all the things I should have? They have a lot of experience with that and can provide some options of what their software includes. We actually have something called IFEA Day coming up. It's on October 20th. If you go to IFEA.com, you can look for that and you can register to come. If you're an IFEA member, it's free and it's pretty reasonable if you're not to be able to come. And there's going to be lots of information presented as well as a really fun IFEA Day celebration. It's going to have some fun, just different interactive elements, happy hours, that sort of thing, and really celebrate the festival industry. So I would encourage you to go to IFEA.com and pre-register for that event. And then that event's actually using the Eventeny platform. So if you're looking to learn more about it or see how it works, that would be a great thing to come to and see how that virtual event situation is set up. So PayPal and Venmo, these are pretty basic, like things we use probably almost every day. But I think sometimes, if you say set up a donation on your website where someone can donate $10, $15, $20, it might be a little bit intimidating for people. But if you just say, hey, the festival's seeking donations for our 501c3 nonprofit, here's our PayPal, here's our Venmo, you're likely to get people donating just, even a couple of bucks, right? $2, $3, $4. This picture is actually of my living room. We attended a virtual concert that was hosted by one of my friends here, the guy in the white shirt. His band was raising funds to help save the Little Longhorn Saloon, which is a really cool little venue we have here in Austin, Texas, where I live. And so they basically put on a virtual concert and then just had the Venmo and PayPal logins, running across the bottom of the screen, and we're encouraging donations to help save the venue. So instead of having a page you had to go to register or sign up or even buy tickets, maybe I should be encouraging virtual tickets since we're a ticketing company, but I don't know. I think that might work if you have some sort of big thing lined up. But if you just want to host a little concert or a little variety show or a little comedy show or whatever, making it free and then allowing people to donate by really clearly displaying your PayPal and Venmo options, I think can be a really great way to just kind of get those onesie, twosie donations, and it adds up. They raised over $5,000 with a 2-hour concert. And I kind of thought, as we started watching it, I was like, oh, we made our donation. We'll have this on for a little bit. It'll be something fun to watch. And we ended up watching the full 2 hours. So I think, people are thirsty a little bit for content. And so by having something like this, it can be a really great way just to keep people engaged. And we actually, I think, gave twice. We kind of gave our donation, like, oh, I'll give $5 more. And I think what really helped with that is that they had a goal. They said, we're going to host this concert and we want to raise $5,000. Because that was I can't remember, maybe a month or two of expenses for the little venue. And as they got closer, they kept saying, oh, we're so close. We just need, 10 more people to give $20 each, and then we'll be there, whatever it was. And that really solicited those last few donations to get them up over that line. So just something to keep in mind, and, keeping in mind those tools that we might use personally day to day can also help with your festival. While you're talking about donations, soliciting donations to support partners can be really great too. This was another post from Wisconsin State Fair where they were teaming up with a group to help end hunger in Wisconsin and support donations, and so they posted a link to that third-party partner that needed those funds. We have several events, and I don't know if it's like this in your community, but our event will happen, and then local nonprofits will get a free booth or get a place to set up and get donations for their organizations. And one of the side effects, of course, of not having our events is that those third parties that usually depend on the event to raise funds and awareness are unable to do that. Or, like the local church will use the fair to sell pies or whatever the case might be. So keep in mind those partners that typically get supported through your event and see if you could do something like this, to help them. Or maybe you have a little concert that supports them directly. You're kind of involved indirectly, but I think it does make a difference down the line, especially because Millennials Care, that's my age group, people pick and choose brands where they are supporting different causes. And by continuing to show how you're supportive of the causes in your local area, I think, you know, that's what builds brand loyalty over time and creates some of that why we were talking about at the beginning. Don't forget your email. This is, you know, maybe kind of obvious. People use email, you know, to promote events a lot when the real event is happening. However, I think on a virtual event, it's easy to forget it. We participated in like a virtual Irish festival that was in Minnesota, and they sent lots of really good emails, including an email with coupons for various spirits before their event, because they were encouraging this porch pour party, you know, where you would go on your own personal porch and have a drink, like if you were at the Irish festival having a Guinness or whatever. So I really thought that was kind of cool. They included recipes for how to make drinks, and of course, like ways you can sign up to say you were attending, and they tried to get someone in every single state. Just really cool on the emails and the reminders, and remembering to include that tool for yourself. Okay, so that was section 1. That's the longest section because it has multiple parts. So I promise you we're right on track here. Medium feeling normal-ish. So our sort of in the middle of the ground social distancing. So these sponsor lunches are kind of cool. We got this idea also from our friends at the Heart of Texas Fair and Rodeo. Essentially, they came up with a promotion where they got with an existing event sponsor that was a food provider. So in this case, you know, Rudy's. In this example, that's a local barbecue place here in Texas. And then they got with, you know, other people to come up with people to nominate to give a free lunch to. And so this was the cafeteria staff at an elementary school in town. And then basically they said, hey, Rudy's, can you provide lunch for the cafeteria staff? You know, they're frontline workers. They're providing meals for all these kids who wouldn't otherwise have any food this summer while we're in a pandemic. And then they promoted that free lunch on their Facebook page. They're basically thanking an existing sponsor, letting the sponsor provide the food for in exchange for a shout out on their page. It's probably not very much, right? Like food, you know, for maybe 3 to 6 people or something, you know, whatever you're doing. And then they're also showing their community involvement by allowing then that staff to receive a free lunch. This was another example. This was actually up to 30 people with lunch from Whataburger. You know, you can work with that sponsor to determine what they're comfortable with. But they allow people in the community to nominate, and then they bring in an existing food sponsor, which I think is kind of cool, which provides then this meal to an essential employee. So it also helps can help get the word out that your sponsor is open for business. Maybe if it's a, you know, like smaller, more community-based restaurant, you know, that they can say, hey, yes, we're open, we're doing takeout, whatever the case might be. Drive up food orders. This is kind of cool too. So this is one of our clients, the Big E. They're located in Massachusetts. They're famous for their cream puffs, which seeing those, I don't know how you couldn't be famous for those. Excuse me. So they basically allowed people to pre-order cream puffs on their website. They had an order for online pickup button. And then you know what they used? They just used Toast Tab. Have you guys been using Toast Tab to order your own online food? You know, there's lots of different ones. There's one called Slice, all those different cool online ordering platforms we've been using. They just linked in to sell basically these cream puffs, fair food. They allowed for a max quantities per item. It allows for time slot ordering. You don't have to reinvent the wheel to be able to sell food online and actually start, you know, earn some revenue, right? I said I was going to tell you different ways to earn revenue. Here we go. And it's already just built in. Yes, there's going to be a little bit of fees, you know, with any online ordering platform, there's always a little fees, but it's a way to sell and get people involved and get people some of their cream puffs. I mean, the response to this particular initiative has been huge. They sold so many cream puffs this summer. Then you can also do additional add-ons like donations and tips, right? The same way you would tip your delivery driver. You can say, yes, I'll include a tip for the Big E or whatever items you're selling. Other items for sale, this is our friends at Clay County Fair. Again, one of the things they did that was super successful is they sold masks with animal faces on them, which is pretty hilarious. So maybe you can do something, you know, with your festival to sell some fun pandemic related items. And then drive-through events. Man, this has been a really big revenue producer for some of our clients thus far. This is Christmas in the Park. They're actually located in San Jose, California. They went on sale with their drive-through Christmas tickets 2 days ago. So I'm recording this on the 17th, so it was on the 15th. And they have already sold, I don't know, Jason, who works this festival, may not care if I tell you exactly, but I don't want to reveal any of his personal secrets if he doesn't want me to. But I'll tell y'all, they've sold a lot of tickets to this drive-through event in just 2 days. And it's September, right? Their event doesn't start until after Thanksgiving, and they've already sold a lot of time slots. You can go to their website. It's just christmasinthepark.com and see how they kind of have it set up. But you know, you can host your own Christmas drive-through. We've had a client do animal viewing, sort of like a livestock show, but drive-through instead of in person. And so that was a way to generate tickets. The Christmas lights display tickets sold for a lot higher than those, but still just an idea. And so there are ways to host, you know, moderate events where people don't get out of their car necessarily. Maybe you have a few bathrooms or something along the route just in case. But, you know, it's a way to still earn money and to set up an event that you might be able to actually have. I'm going to skip this video because it's kind of loud, but you can go on their Facebook page or on their website and see what they're kind of planning for this. It allows people to get out of the house and earn some revenue. Another thing we've seen people do to earn revenue during this time is virtual races. So that could be running, it could be biking. These are two examples. The Cherry Festival was part of this Harvest virtual run series. And then this is, the Kentucky Derby Festival did a bike race. Most people will still sign up and pay a registration fee to attend something like this, but then they just run or bike it themselves. And then you can still send them, of course, like a finisher medal or a finisher t-shirt or whatever you want to do for that, so they feel like they're a part of it. This was another example of one of our clients that hosts a mini marathon. When they had their virtual event, they put cool photos up on their pages that then you could use and borrow to post on your own social media to say that you participated. You could download your bib and print it yourself, which I thought was really cool. But you know, people that are in typically the racing community, if it's, you know, marathons or half marathons or even 5Ks, people feel really proud to have finished that amount of running, which they should be. And so they're likely to get those items in that they might get from, you know, just their virtual experience and then post about it on their Facebook or their Instagram. I have a personal friend that just did that, who literally just 2 days ago posted, you know, herself that she received her medal in the mail because she mailed in a screenshot of her time and they sent her a medal. And it was unrelated to any of these examples I just showed you, just another virtual race that she participated in. So maybe that's something that you can host or work on doing. You know, Thanksgiving is coming up. Maybe it's a turkey trot. If your town doesn't have a turkey trot, you could start one and, you know, get people to register and pay, and then they run it or do it themselves, you know, on Thanksgiving weekend. I don't know. I just made that up. Maybe it's a good idea or not, but you don't have to pay me for that one. I'll give you that one for free. Okay, just kidding. Sometimes webinars can be so awkward, y'all, because you're like talking to yourself. So I hope you all got a good chuckle. Well, I'll pretend you were laughing once you watched that part. Okay. Okay, social distancing close again. Last section here. This is the part of the presentation of when you can have an event again. So again, I hate this term new normal, but there are some things, you know, that maybe once you start going to an event, you will see taking place to help keep people safe. I told you about our friends at Clay County Fair, who are one of the first events that had to cancel. They have actually planned an event for the end of this month that is an in-person event where they are selling squares, as you can see here, social squares or drive-in squares, for people to be able to purchase a ticket, come to an event, watch a movie from their car, or watch a concert within a specific circle or square of space. So they're selling tickets online only. I think that's really key, because then you don't have to worry about taking people's money or credit cards or any of that. Someone shows up, they show their ticket, they get it scanned. It's all very, safe and far away. They have a lot of really good before you go information on their website for social protocols about what you're allowed to do, what you're allowed to bring, what the rules are once you're there. And providing as much information as possible in advance, I think, is really key. So this was a way for them to host still an event and it be safe and get approved by their county, and still earn some money. We've actually had, I don't even know how many, several, 10, 12 of our fair clients host the Flicks portion of what they're doing here, where they've done drive-in movies. A lot of times our fairs, I hate to say it, are a slight advantage over our festivals, because a lot of them own their grounds or have their grounds year round. Our festivals sometimes are at the mercy of what the city will allow you to do with the spaces that you typically rent. Most festivals don't have their own grounds that they keep year round. But, that's something you can still work in conjunction with the city. You host it, you produce it. We have lots of festival clients that we work with who have grown their events over the years, right? So, they might have started as just a small food festival, but then they've grown into, other little parts and pieces as the years go. So work with the people you work with and see what they will allow you to do. And when you sell tickets like this, you are earning revenue. And are you going to make as much as your normal event? Probably not, but it's something to do, keep you moving, and keep yourself in the forefront of people's minds. If you do have an event where you need to sell on site, there are so many options that are coming up right now for the contactless on-site ticketing. Kiosks or kind of personal kiosks like this, where it's really just a monitor that's a touch screen. I call it the Chick-fil-A drive-through selling experience, because at Chick-fil-A, you stand there, person has their mask on, and then I swipe my own credit card out my window, to pay for my food. It's kind of the same idea. At Sonic, that's another good example. They have a screen kind of like this that you do have to touch, or you have to touch your payment options to be able to check out. But then when that person brings your food out, they wipe that sucker down before the next person pulls into that spot. So having options like this, you can have a couple of volunteers standing by these types of kiosks, and then as the person walks away, someone just wipes that screen with a Clorox wipe or whatever it is, and that kind of prevents some of that one-on-one interaction that selling tickets typically does. Full disclosure, the pictures you see here are our equipment, Saffire chicks, but we're not the only ones who do this. We're not just trying to sell you our stuff. There's lots of different options for this that exist out there, just so you know the technology that's coming. I have a couple other examples like that. This is another thing that we have, but also lots of people out there have. It's capacity tracking. So we have a client who is not using anything to do with our Saffire ticks or selling. They're just simply only using this capacity tracking tool. So lots of companies out there will allow you to do this, but it's basically the virtual or the online version of those old clickers like you see in this picture, right? So I have my attendance clicker that I'm counting as people are coming in, or my turnstiles, but it's the digital version. So every time someone comes in, you can click a button and count people coming into your event. And this number here with the full day attendance or current attendance will show you, keep track of how many people have come in and then how many people have gone out, just by clicking at all of your gates in one spot. So this is a requirement for a lot of our events to be able to have something. We're at 25% capacity in some states, or 50% capacity in some states. So our clients know what that number is and have to be able to prove that they were staying under that number. And so we've worked with a lot of local officials and government officials to have this software, and then our clients show that to the people that need to see it, and they're allowed to continue to run their event. So I'm hoping this is not our life forever, right, where we have to keep track of the exact capacity of our event, but it is a powerful tool for while we need it, and for the people who do need it to be able to have their events go on, you know, even in early, say, 2021 or summer 2021, it might be a tool that people need. So that kind of gives you the information about that and the different ways that can be done. Helping your audience be safe. Sometimes it's okay to go analog. This is pictures from the Florida Festivals and Events Association. They had really awesome signs that talked about washing your hands and spreading kindness that they set around. So if you have, you know, an in-person event, of course, having good signage and information is important. Making sure it grabs someone's attention. I love the wash your hands, the songs you can wash your hands to rather than the ABCs or happy birthday, you know, those typical 20-second ones. It's better to sing something else in your head while you're washing your hands, kind of fun. And then this is an example of a sanitation station. This disinfectgroup.com is actually one of the companies that's come up with one of these things that you walk through, right? To get a temperature check, to sanitize your personal belongings and yourself. So it seems kind of futuristic, but for the time being, if you're going to have an in-person event, it's just something that you could look into. There's lots of different companies doing this. I know this group exhibited at the Florida Festivals and Events Association. You can see the hashtag. So I put them in here and as an example, but they have automatic mask dispensers and all kinds of things out there right now that you can use to be able to host an in-person event and make people feel safe while they're there. Another thing that works really well for our reserved seating clients is having socially distanced pod seating set up. So this is an example of a Saffire Tix map, but there's lots of people doing this type of thing where, you know, basically you can see here there's 2 tickets for sale or 4 tickets or 3 tickets. And when I click to buy one of these seats, I am forced then to buy that whole little pod of tickets so that my family is all going to sit right there and you can see that the areas around me are going to be empty seats. If you haven't had a reserved seating event in the past, it could be a way to be able to host an event. This is an amphitheater here in Austin that is not a Saffire Tix client or Saffire client, but it's an example of one that used to be, you know, this is like your general mosh pit area, as I call it, for your concerts. There's typically no chairs out in this field. You can tell how worn the grass is in front of this amphitheater. And they set up basically pod seating, you know, for their concert. So they're able to host some concerts here this fall because they've set it up to be at a limited capacity and where everyone has an exact spot to sit. So it's, you know, something different for a lot of our GA events to have to go to a map, you know, like this, but just something to keep in mind as an option. If you can't do a GA event, go reserve seating. Let people pick their seats and you might still be able to host something and earn some revenue. Pop-ups for last minute announcements. You know, if you're having an in-person event, that can be really key on your website, really just keeping people informed, showing them schedule changes, you know, giving people the last bit of information about what they should do before they come, if they come to your website or your mobile website. Just a, you know, good tool to keep in mind as you are setting up maybe an in-person event. And if all else fails, we can all just say what we're all feeling all the time. This was a sign from one of our clients who thought that was funny and rebooting 2020 because this year has a virus. Yes, it does. So, you know, just as people come on site, or if you can't host something on site, you can use your signage to the best of your ability to get a chuckle out of people too. So that's the end of this presentation. If you have any questions, feel free to reach out to us at any of the following social media handles. You can follow these for more information, more tips. We're always posting, you know, the new, latest, and greatest information we have in terms of pandemic technology and other more fun technologies that we get to come up with. So you can follow us on any of those. And if you want to reach out to me directly, my email address is just cassie@saffire.com. I look forward to connecting with you all down the line. If you have any questions, feel free to leave those for me in the chat as well, and I will stick around and answer as many as I can. And I look forward to seeing you all in the future when we are in less of pandemic times. It will be awesome. So hope you have a great year. Good luck with your virtual events, and you know, just continue on that road to recovery to make a better 2021. Thanks all.